I shared a little bit about my family in a previous video as I talked about my brother Nick. I thought I would give a little bit more context. So I shared that I'm the oldest of 7 children, grew up out in the country. We had kind of a non-traditional upbringing. My mother was a super hippie. She loved all things natural, and she really believed that her children would make the right choice if they had the freedom to make those choices. That doesn't always work because kids aren't great at raising themselves. But some of the fun things that we did, we played for hours out in the mud and built huts. To my mom, kindness was the highest value. And so even public school, she pulled my siblings out of public school and put them in kind of a private school. It was a small homeschool where they learned how to read and write, but also learned how to be kind and compassionate and see the best in others and each other. And I remember my sister Kira, she loved to dance and she would practice for hours. And when she was 8 years old, she went to my dad and had my dad make her a little soundtrack and had him drop her off at the fair in town, which I know sounds crazy. It was a small town, but Kira on her own tried out for this competition, this dance competition, and she ended up taking first place and won a trophy as big as she was, and then had someone give her a ride home. Like, that's how, the way that we lived out in the country. It was just, you kind of knew everyone in the town. And I remember my brother Donovan telling my mom that he wanted to go to public school. And my mom's like, well, you can go if you want. So he went out and got on the bus one day with some of his other friends and rode to the school and said, I want to start school today. And when they called my mom, she said, sure, he can go. He just had to tell me he wanted to go. So we laugh about some of those things now, and maybe it wouldn't be as safe to do some of those things in today's world. But I've also shared in previous videos how I really struggled in my teenage years and got in relationships young, ended up married and divorced, single mother, became addicted to drugs, and then got sober in my 20s and married my husband and started my own photography company. And then later I relapsed and I got involved in these illegal real estate deals. And I remember the day that I walked into the federal courthouse and my family was there, my dad, my parents, some of my brothers and sisters, and my husband and my children. And after I was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. When I walked out of the courtroom, my dad came up and gave me a hug, and he said, Portia, I know you'll be okay. You'll be fine. You were born to be brave. And that's what prompted the title of my book, Born to be Brave. After my brother Nick passed away, I wrote about my family and some of the other experiences I've had of my brother Nick, because, you could think, geez, you were just sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. Like, why would someone say that? I remember thinking after, why would my dad say that? But what I came to believe when I was in prison is that my dad really believed in me. He really trusted me, and he knew that I had lost my way, but that I would find myself. He believed in me. And I think that that's the highest form of respect that we can give to someone, not to feel sorry for them, but to believe in them. When I came home from prison, one of my daughters was really struggling in a way that I didn't expect or understand. And I remember laying there with her one night, and she was sharing some of the struggles she had. And I remember praying about it. I was like, I can't do this. This is too hard. I don't want to see my children suffer. And I felt the strongest prompting, Portia, don't forget who you are. You're the child of the Most High God, and you were born to be brave. And I remember laying there with my daughter and saying, I know you're struggling, and I know what you're going through is hard. But honey, I believe in you because you were born to be brave. And I think that we were all born to be brave. Like, what we go through on this earth prepares us to become who we were born to be.